Today is the 21st of July 2018 and we're here in the Gynim studio. There's myself, Ginny, John Nash, and we've got Crooked Claw here.
Which is an allusion to the crab constellation. And right now there's a great deal of activity in the crab constellation, so we are doing our typical PT activity of reflecting what is in the celestial writing.
So Crooked Claw is a great friend of ours, another Calicut, and we're happy to have him here for the first time.
Tried and true.
So the purpose of this recording is to extract from John about the Shakti Cluster App. Who does what?
Exactly. So far I've presented 2 demo talks with video on the Shakti Cluster App, and I realized that it appears there's deep interest in this and really serious interest in learning how to use it, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm also grateful that people respect what this instrument actually is. So I'll do my best in this little talk to sort of lay out the scheme of the Shakti Cluster in terms of the functions of the Devatas of each point or band. Okay?
Yeah, so I'm sure many people have been playing around with using the app. I've had a few people write you and ask you, who would I use for this? I know that you, speaking to you, not John, Crooked Claw. You've used it recently for something quite important that happened in your life and got the result you wanted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We don't need to go into details, but it was a legal case.
Yes.
And you got the outcome that you deserved and wanted, and you had a couple of other people join you in charging the app, and it was brilliant. And it happened 3 months quicker than it was supposed to happen as well for you, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
So, living proof.
Yeah, these are all good signs. If the app is being used properly, the results will be accelerated. You can look for that. You can also look for clearance and resolution in various areas of your life when you command the support and guidance of a particular Devata. So I'm going to use the word, there are various terms floating around here. There's the word Dakini, Mahavidya, and Devata.
Well, the Shakti Cluster are Mahavidyas and Dakinis.
That's
so
right.
It's better to use the term Devata.
Devata is the comprehensive
Yes.
term, which means a radiant emanation.
Yes.
Okay? So in the case of anyone having legal problems or having to go into the judicial system, which is a maze of deceit and manipulation, use the Shakti Cluster to command the assistance of Bodhima or Vishvamata, and that is point 15.
So just to go back through the process, you log on.
Process is the same for everyone and it's the same every time. You log on by an act of self-recognition. You identify yourself as Rome, the Anthropos, the magical child of the wisdom goddess, at point 16. Hold your gaze on that point. Notice how beautifully located it is within the golden floret. You see? Then you go up from that point to 16, and then you recognize that is your mother, that is the source of the Anthropos genome, and also that is the setting in which we live, and that is the aeonic power now in correction. So everyone starts with that exercise, and then from those 2 steps, you go to the specific node that applies to your
Devata you're using for that exercise.
Applies to your situation.
So in this situation, a legal situation, you pass out, or did you pass in?
I passed in because it was a
Personal.
Exactly. So in that case, there would have been a 3-point charging. You what I call it, you ground first in 16, then you go to ground first in 16, then you go to 18. In that case, go to 15. And command 15 for the specific support, and then you pass off into the oval.
See, I helped him with that. There was me and another Kalika who are friends of his, and I passed out.
Because you're not in a situation.
Because it wasn't personal.
That's brilliant. This is how to use the app.
Yeah.
Great.
And actually, in my case, I did the charging of 16 to 18, and then I went to 15, and then I went back to 18, and then I came out to Idris, and then so I had a double whammy basically.
Excellent.
Idris
Excellent.
is double.
Dancing around in the Shakti Cluster can be delightful.
Yeah, and this is the thing, isn't it? You know, you make it your own as well. This is experimental magic with Gaia. This is what it's about.
Think of it as a keyboard. You know, you're playing the different keys in any way that suits you. And learning the structure of the Shakti Cluster is an ongoing event. I've had the Shakti Cluster in my hands, in the forefront of my attention, for going on 10 years now. And I still learn every time I use it. I learn how to use it. And it's the delight of learning how to use it that also charges it.
Yeah.
And gives it more power.
The novelty.
The novelty of it, exactly.
Okay, so to give this some coherence, let's go from point number 1, Kali, and work our way through chronologically. So we'll prod you with questions. To prepare for this talk, I was going back. I revisited the kalakawarparty.org site to look at the Thunderbird, to see who does what, and just realign myself with the Thunderbird formation.
Excellent move.
So I think that's a coherent way to do it.
That is the coherent way to do it. That is the logical way to proceed.
So we'll talk about what they do, what the Devatas do in the Thunderbird formation, but and then we'll talk about how you use them in the app for what purposes.
It's like an orientation.
An orientation, yeah.
Excellent. 2.
So, John, I'm sure many of the listeners are interested to know how the location of the Pacific
Devatas
came into being. You know, how they were located,
and why.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And the short answer is, I don't know.
Good.
The longer answer is, I don't know how I did it. The even longer answer is, I don't know how I did it instantaneously without even thinking about it. I suppose I could say that it composed itself. At the time that I got the Thunderbird formation, I can tell you exactly when it was. It was in March of 2014, at the end of reset. And I was standing in the nav room down in Turton Towers, and just had pieces of paper on the table, just like the back of an envelope or something, and it just came through. And I thought, this is really amusing, like what's going on here, you know? Because I had already had this magnificent, powerful mandala icon of the Shakti Cluster in front of me for some time, and then suddenly, bang, I've got something else. I've got this bird, this very wild, powerful, savage-looking bird. And the analogy that came to mind at that time was these games that kids have. They're called Transformers. You get a kit at the game store. It's a plastic toy, and it's like in the form of a truck or a tank. And then the kid takes it and reassembles it, and it becomes a giant, a standing giant. And then they take it and they reassemble it again, and it becomes a bird. So what happened was that the Shakti Cluster, which is a tool of power, automatically reassembled itself in my attention and became the Thunderbird formation.
Okay, so the way that we're going to do this, we're going to go chronologically through the Thunderbird formation so that we can extract from John who does what. So we'll start with Kali. Now, she oversees male warriors and female apprentices. They attack religion and endorse morbido, which is the male lust for killing.
That's right.
So that's in the Kalakawar party. That's in the Thunderbird formation. So what would Kali be used for in the Shakti Cluster app?
Okay. Kali basically is the rage of the earth, the rage of the planetary animal mother. The focus of her rage comes through this goddess image, the Devata, Kali.
Which is your guardian.
Is my personal guardian.
You
right?
saw her aged 4 years old.
That's right.
On the roof of your
I
house.
saw her full-blown holographic tulku standing at a bus stop in Madras, India. And then I found her on Infinity Ridge at the Devi tree, which was sort of like the lair of the great serpent power of Kali. You've been there, so you know how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
So she is the guardian of all warriors. She does not protect ordinary people. So you can't call upon her protection if you're not a committed warrior, because she will ignore you.
So if you're a dreamer, then Kali's not one for you to use.
No, you can get your protection from elsewhere.
Yeah.
But if you're a committed warrior, you can count on Kali to have your back, to surround you with an aura of protection, to give you the 10 Makara seal of protection, which is the highest protection on the planet.
Goatfish.
And it's the crocodile. Makara means crocodile.
No, but it's in the constellation
It's the
of the
constellation
goatfish.
of the goatfish, which is the Sanskrit name for that constellation. So it's like a crocodile skin armor, like the vests that cops wear and people wear. What do you call it? Anti-ballistic vest.
Mm.
So you can command that protection at point 1 if you're a warrior.
Give us an example then. So I need, I've got police on my back or
Sometimes surveillance, maybe.
Any
surveillance.
interference that comes into your life that stands in the way of your commitment to be a warrior, for Kali, to be a Kalika, and to exercise Morbido, you have to make those commitments. If you don't make those commitments in your own soul and carry them on your conscience, she won't protect you. This is a negotiated protection.
Mm.
It's not unconditional.
Mm.
So don't call on her and don't expect results unless you've made those commitments and you're willing to kill.
For survival.
For survival of the Rome and for your own survival, But if you suit those criteria, you can call upon her for a protection of you, your life and your way of life. And it's a total policy. Okay?
Okay. So number 2, Tara.
Yeah, Tara is the Devata who corresponds to number 2, right?
So it's Grail preservation and the term of Gaia Awakening preservation.
Right.
And racial identity.
Well, we're coming to see that now. I think we can add racial identity. Tara, who is in rank 5 of the party, is number 2 in the Shakti Cluster, is, here we go. Here's the copy from the original from the original Thunderbird formation, which needs to be now revised and updated. So, assigned to preserve and teach the Grail legend and the term of Gaia Awakening, she targets false and misleading teachings about the Grail and its guardians, and the special mission of countering lies about racial identity, eugenics, and multicultural race mixing. I hadn't even read this in like 8 years now. It's so appropriate.
Mm.
So yeah, we've just been talking about the race romantic ethos today, and here we
Race
see
romantic ethos, yeah.
So if you want protection for your community, for your race, if you're an endangered species like the white races are, in the bullseye of genocide of the Xenosh and all their accomplices, you call upon Tara to protect you and to provide the bridge to the future world where you and your community and your race survive.
So this I can segue here into something that I've seen when Nimitta is up and running, which is going to be a couple of months. I would like to, through the Nimitta Treehouse, which is going to be the general forum on Nimitta, where people can connect with each other and then meet up in real life and we get support from each other, I would like to see kind of Charlotte working type acts being done. So for example, we would all, one day assign a day, a 24-hour period where we all charge the app using Tara to protect the racial romance and to protect our own race.
Yes, brilliant. We're talking about
Whatever your race might be.
whatever it might be.
Because this is the thing, the Xenosh, yes, white genocide is a fact, but because they're doing it through miscegenation, all races are targeted
Yeah, they target all races.
through multiculturalism.
They just target the white races first because the white races are the greatest obstacle to them eliminating all the other races.
Yeah,
The other races will not survive if the white race goes down.
yeah.
I have no objection whatsoever with alliances and the participation of people of any race, black, brown, any color you like, Asians, Native Americans, Hawaiians, I welcome them all. But they all must come into the party in the recognition of certain principles, and that's set out in a manifesto.
Yeah, well, the sooner we all unite against the Xenosh, the better we'll all be off.
Not a moment too soon, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so number 3, Shodashi, Euphanies.
Right, Shodashi called Euphanies has a number of different names. So where is Shodashi in the Thunderbird formation? I have to look.
Okay, so she protects Gain alchemy
Ah, yes,
and real beauty.
right. And Shodashi, Euphanies, assigned to develop and disseminate new forms of beauty and aesthetics, including the look and style of the KWP. We know what costumes they are.
Miss Daly.
Yes. The insignia, right, the gear and the lifestyle and the decor and the whole dressing of the KWP and Planetary Tantra comes from Shodashi.
Okay, so do you want to mention my T-shirt I'm wearing?
Yes,
This
it
is
says,
a Euphanies T-shirt.
yes, Calico War Party, KWP, I'm not your goy.
I actually wanted it to say, I'm not your fucking goy. But I got it printed in Germany and I thought that might be a bridge too far at
Right.
the moment.
Right. Again, I would revise this outlining of the Thunderbird formation to add that, to actually add in a way the humanities,
Yeah.
because there's a tendency to see Shodashi, who is reflected in the constellation of the Virgin,
Because she's sweet 16 and
is Sweet
childlike,
16,
yeah.
right? To see her as related to the great mystery and wonder of alchemy, because she is Lady Alchemia.
Mm.
Right.
She is the Aeon Sophia is Lady Alchemica. You find that absolute documentary proof of that in the alchemical lore that I've often cited. But at the same time, she is Sarasvati, and she oversees all of the arts of beauty. So literature, poetry, dance, everything that makes life beautiful. So if you want to pursue a project of beauty, or if you want to protect the pursuit of beauty in your life that is threatened in various ways, you would command the assistance of Shodashi.
Can we relate that to people's demonic factor then?
Yes, we could. You could command Shodashi to reveal to you your demonic factor.
Yeah.
Okay, DAEMONIC.
Yeah.
Right.
Which would be located by the location of Chiron in your manifold,
The location
in
of
your
Chiron
star-based manifold.
in your manifold. Right.
Okay. So also, if you're going to be involved in the KWP, Shodashi Euphanies attacks the music and entertainment industry
There you
through
go.
satire,
That's right.
comedy,
That's right.
Mm.
All the corruption in the arts.
which
would
is
be-
Xenosh.
Yeah, which is all introduced by the Xenosh.
Mm.
And the pollution and the vulgarity and the ugliness of art is attacked through Shodashi.
So apart from using Euphanies in the Shakti Cluster app to reveal your demonic factor, what else could you use her for?
Generally to enhance your sense of beauty, to enhance your innate aesthetic abilities. I find it's characteristic through my life to meet people who feel, like they're somehow underachievers. I say, well, the way I live is somehow, I feel like I'm missing a mark. And very often that sense comes from the simple fact that the individual is not living up to the real standard of beauty that they know they could live, that their everyday life, the acts of their life are expressions of beauty. And you go to Shodashi to command her to give you that, to enforce that in you. So.
Okay, next one, number 4, Budevi.
Okay, Budevi, of course, we're still in the circle of the Mahavidyas. Notice the structure here. The structure of the Shakti cluster is such that the black oval contains the 10 Mahavidyas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
So the 10 Mahavidyas are on the outer circle, the outer oval.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The 10 Mahavidyas that belong to that Sri Yantra cult.
Yeah.
So we're going through that first, because that's the listing, the numerical listing of the 10 Mahavidyas is traditional. Don't
Yes.
attach anything particular to it. In other words, the numbers themselves don't mean anything. It's just the traditional listing. And
But this
find
is the
it-
thing with the app as it is at the moment. At the moment, to orient yourself with the Shakti Cluster app, people need to use an app with the numbers corresponding to the names until they are well versed and
Right.
conversant in the app.
Right, exactly. So it's a practice app. The first version that I want people to use is a laminated card, large-sized card you can hold in your hand. It's about the size of an iPod.
Mm-hmm.
iPhone, John.
An iPhone, right. And that on one side, it has the Shakti Cluster design with the numbers so that you can memorize it, and then you flip it on the other side, and I'll provide the 18 items with each with what they correspond to. You can flip it over, and then when you can remember it, then you dispense with that one and you use one without numbers.
Because that's more powerful,
It's
isn't it?
much more powerful.
Because you're not using
Why is
your
that?
left side brain
That's
to
right.
connect.
And the force of recognition is tremendous when you have the ability to look at the Shakti Cluster icon with no numbers, and you can recognize what is the Tara point, what is the Marita point, Matangi point. That's recognition, the power of recognition, which is called proprioception in psychological terms. Okay?
So, going back to Budevi, number 4, material magic with the 4 elements. I think
That's
that's quite
right.
a good one for you, CC, to talk about.
Really?
Being as your
Looking for a new location.
Yeah, if you're looking for an environment to live where it's going to nourish you and where you'll be happy and be able to live self-sufficiently.
because locations are like people are either a tap or a drain.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ecology, promoting ecology, self-sufficiency, natural
Ecofascism.
aesthetics, ecofascism, material magic, and in each case, we're talking about what the Devata provokes and promotes and nurtures, and we're also talking about what the Devata protects.
Mm-hmm.
She protects what she nurtures. She nurtures what she protects, which is the function of the mother in all the animal kingdoms.
And also this alludes to a refuge for Rome to go to, a real refuge.
Yeah, it's a true refuge for the Rome,
Yeah.
right? You would sort of use Budevi and Tara. Notice how Tara is at one corner, the upper corner of the oval of the Shakti cluster, and then you come down, you go across to Shodashi, and then you come down and cross over to Budevi. So Budevi and Tara are both involved in the leading of the Rome and the Anthropos to its true earthly paradise. Remember that Tara is the bridge. She's associated
The
with...
paradella. I just found out that word means bridge.
Does it really? Strange term, paradella.
Yeah.
And it's the wrathful green Tara, the selector. So you can also command Tara to guide you to select those people that you would bring into the environment you would reach by the support of Budevi. So you see, it's a beautiful coordination that you
Yes.
learn between all the points.
I would also add that also deselect the people that you don't wish to be.
Certainly.
You know.
Yeah,
Yes.
certainly.
Yes.
Yeah, and the factor of wrath and rage is important there. The wrathful green Tara deselects, she rejects, as well as she selects. Good point.
Marita, Number 5.
Yeah, Marita is a fascinating and complex Devata.
This is your band, isn't it, CC?
Yeah, it's my band.
Your chosen band.
Um,
Okay, what's your band, Chini?
Bhairavi.
You're the Bhairavi band, of course. And
But I want to be in all the bands. I could do something in all the bands.
Right.
And I think most people feel that way. So that's something
Yeah.
I think that's something
there's
that...
a certain amount of band jumping. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
rigid, but it's like you have to build on your strongest points in life.
Well, so for example, the Bhairavi band, you said to me once that that's a long wait because it's about breaking down secrecy and lies.
Yeah.
And it's about generations of people doing that. So if you're in the Bhairavi band, you've got to be patient.
Yeah.
it's a slow burn.
It's
You're
a
in
slow
for-
burn. It's a really
exactly.
slow burn. So in the meantime, I'm going to join all the other bands.
Sure, sure. We are multi-skilled animals, and so we lend our skills just as if you were in a community and you were able to lend some of your skills to making sure that the community had a good supply of clean, fresh drinking water acquired in a manner that did not disturb the environment. You would lend your skill and lend your hand to that, but then you might be called to teach
In another one,
to teach medicinal plants or something. You see what I mean? So we're multi-talented, but generally at some point you ground and locate yourself in one particular band because that is where your strongest power, your strongest talent is identified.
And I believe that can change as you age as well. You know, when you're 20, when you're 40, you don't want what you wanted when you were 20.
That's right.
So, it can grow and mature with you, like a fine wine.
That's indeed correct. Good analogy. So getting to Marita, I've been through a lot with Marita. In the GNE, people notice that we went through a lot of lessons in learning who and what Marita is. And so basically, I've sort of have been accustomed to identifying what I call like more the conventional or outer function of Marita, and then with a secret hidden function. I always knew from the beginning, don't ask me how, because this is how it works, that there was a hidden other Devata or the agency kind of hidden behind Marita, which is now turns out to be 17, you see. But Marita herself is assigned to preserve, those in her band are assigned to preserve and reactivate ancient systems of seasonal timing, archaic calendars, megalithic sites, to teach the law of conduction, which is highly esoteric, highly tantric, and other sciences relating to Gaian biophysics, revival of the work of Wilhelm Reich, organotics, targeting false and specious claims, and fraudulent natural science. So you can call upon Marita or for any of those features, any of those areas of knowledge and action.
So on a personal note, if you were going to use the Shakti Cluster app, you could command Marita to guide you through that, because that's quite a lot of things that she covers. So
Yeah.
you could command her to guide you through protecting the Zen-Ash attack on natural science.
There you go. There you go.
So even in terms of which books you choose to read, because
That's right.
you could read 10 books and none of them give you anything.
Indeed.
But one book would give you everything that you need. So command her to guide you through what you're actually physically reading.
The general technique here, and you've paraphrased it very well, is that you use the power of the Devatas to focus.
There's a lens.
Yeah, it's a lens. It focuses your power and directs you to specifically what needs to be done and what's appropriate to your talents. Now, I see here that I also wrote, so Marita was originally Chinnamasta, who is that self-beheading Dakini, because everybody is fascinated by that image of her. She's got a severed head, and 2 streams of blood are pouring out. And her 2 disciples are either drinking it or receiving it in chalices.
Yeah.
And I think then she's receiving this 3rd stream. It's very bizarre. Okay. So I've explained, and if you want to get into the really hot button esoterics of it, and it does get very hot, that this is a tantric planetary tantra makeover of the Buddhist Vajrayana teaching of the central channel and the two right and left channels of Ida and Pingala. So those who are familiar with that in yogic teaching, you know about that, everyone learns about this, have the opportunity to relearn it in an entirely different way. So I noted when I wrote the material, the content here for the Thunderbird formation, that I put down the name Kandali and hot pants. So I would know when I was calling her hot pants. Hot pants are those really, really short pants, right?
Yeah, that show the cheek of the bottom.
Right,
and,
okay. She's definitely hot pants. And Kandali is one of the 1001 names of Kali, and it means hot or warm or streaming warmth. Kandali. You would know what that is from body work. You know, so there's probably an aspect of Marita that goes into occult anatomy and body work. Now you can ask Marita, go ahead, I dare you, to command her to take you to the central channel and see what happens.
Mission accepted.
Yeah.
So could Marita be seen as, then from the Himalayan Buddhist point of view, with that kitsch iconography? So chopping off the head, it's unlearning everything that you've been force-fed,
Right.
and renewing.
And going to body knowledge.
Going to body
the
knowledge.
beheaded
Yeah.
body is the body knowledge body. It's the consciousness that you have when you don't have to go through your head knowing, you go directly to your body knowing. It's the screaming, flagrant image of body knowing is the beheaded goddess, the self-beheading goddess.
So perfect.
So perfect.
Perfect for you.
Yeah.
The body.
Perfect for your
body
work.
genius.
Yeah.
Listen, we're at number 5. I think it would be helpful, and it's important that we also correlate the constellations that these Devatas win. So
Sure.
we talked about Kali, that's the goatfish.
Right.
Tara.
Tara is the bull, and in particular, it is the Aldebaran in the eye of the bull.
The eye of the bull. Muy importante.
Right.
Euphanes.
Euphane Shodashi Tripura Sundari, Sundari meaning the beautiful, is the Virgin, the largest constellation in the sky, encompasses 1/8 of the entire zodiac.
Budevi.
Budevi is again the bull, but more in particular the Pleiades aspect of the bull.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tara and Budevi are both the bull.
Yeah.
It's an anomalous assignment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marita.
Rita is the ram, constellation of the ram.
Okay.
Right.
So now we can go on to Bhairavi. My girl.
Oh,
So
yeah.
just a little bio here. Crooked Claw and I, we both got into John's work at the same time. You discovered him and played it to me, and we both sat with our jaws hanging wide open, and that's been it ever since. So we came into Planetary Tantra on a Bhairavi retreat. A Bhairavi shift. We did a vow, we spotted the crescent moon in a Bhairavi shift, and we did our vow in a Bhairavi shift. So she's a special Devata to me, and I'm sure she is to you too.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, I received the term of Guy Awakening in a Bhairavi.
Well, there you go then.
There you go, you know.
3's the number.
It is. So Bhairavi or Bhairavi, I think the
Yeah.
current Hindu pronunciation is
Yeah,
Bhairavi.
George Henry corrected me on
Yeah.
that actually when he was here.
Yeah.
Mm.
Also has many correlates or cognates like Sekhmet. Everybody loves Sekhmet. Simamukhi, or the lion-headed Dakini who instructed Padmasambhava according to the Tibetan Buddhist legends. Balam, the black jaguar. Ishbalanque, the Aztec sorcerer goddess. She has many identities, and they're all very powerful, and they're all brutal. And she brings a brutal force, and she brings the strength of sacred anger to those who command her. So, according to the original copy, those in the Bhairavi band, number 6, are assigned in parallel to battle secrecy in all forms, expose and eliminate psychopaths in positions of power and influence, and a lethal strike on war criminals, arms dealers, defense industry contractors. I mean, this is very serious stuff.
So this is why you said to me a long time ago that, you know, Bhairavi is a long-term, it's a slow burning flame. You know, you said it takes 3 generations to break a lie, which is where we are at the moment with the hollow hoax.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's right.
It's breaking.
It is
because
really
we're in the
breaking.
3rd generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, on another note, though, I would say that as experimenting and testing the Shakti Cluster App continues, there's no saying what we can do. Remember, it is the icon that is used for the killing power of the mother animal. Well, there's the possibility, there's the option of putting lethal strikes on certain named individuals in the defense industry. Because one of the really big problems with the wars that keep going on is it's business. It has nothing to do with politics or ideology.
No, because
Yeah.
then what's the point in them making weapons if there's no wars for them to use them in?
Yeah.
That's why they create wars.
Yeah. I mean, why did, apart from the hideous hatred for the German people that Winston Churchill had and the Xenos behind him had, why did they firebomb Dresden and 50 other German cities? They had to get rid of the armaments so that they could make more, so that the armament business could continue. As long as the business of doing weapons, the defense contracting industry continues, it will continue.
Same with Vietnam.
Yeah, same with all the wars.
All of it. And now, of course, it's bomb the shit out of a city or a country and then send in Jewish American contractors to rebuild it.
There you go. There you go. So, one of the Bhairavi is a Devata who provides a solution to that sense of powerlessness that we all have. I mean, what can you and I sitting here do about the arms dealing trade?
Okay, so
we can't do anything about it.
So Bhairavi is, I don't want to be black-pilled.
Mm-hmm.
Stop getting black-pilled. So you command Bhairavi using the app.
I
But you have to do it in positive syntax,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, and you have to really learn how to use it. You have to learn how to use this lethal power and to be skilled at it, like with any weapon. I can't just put an AK-47 in your hands and say, here you go, man.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to handle that weapon. You have to hold your body and everything. So it's the same thing with invoking this really paramount killing power of Bhairavi. And as I mentioned before, it's worth mentioning in the relevance to what we're talking about now, Bhairavi has no instruction. She has no DI. She only gave me one DI ever. It came in one sentence. Freedom stands at the end of secrecy. That's the only DI of Bhairavi. So the battle is to end secrecy.
That's interesting as well, isn't it? Because when there's a Bhairavi shift, she floors you. It's a visceral thing with Bhairavi.
You are in the mouth and paws of the mother animal. You're like a cub, and she's throwing you around. And there's no negotiation here.
No.
It's brutal, and it confronts you with your own weaknesses, your own lack of courage, and at the same time gives you great sense of courage.
And I've heard that in telestic sessions, every telestic session I've done, Sophia has showed up, but I get it in an auditory. I hear her that it's a gargantuan wild cat doing that noise that's between a purr and a growl that is so distinct. And if you can imagine hearing it on a planetary scale, it's terrifying and comforting at the same time. And she purrs when I've been in many telestic sessions with you, and you just hear her purring because she's so, that planetary animal cat is so happy that people are interacting with her and recognising her. She's purring constantly. It's wonderful.
And what's equally wonderful is that what you're describing is verifiable, and it's the same for everyone. I always say this. When I say it's the same for everyone, I don't mean that we're all in some brainwashed cult where everyone sees it in just one way. No, it is the same experience for everyone. It's objective. How many people have I talked to who've heard that sound, who felt that purr, felt that vibration coming from the earth? And this is one of the really extraordinary ways that planetary tantra, is confirmed over and over.
Okay.
All right.
Number 7, Dumavati, Dutrolamo.
Oh, by the way, zodiacal correlation to Bhairavi is the constellation of the lion, right?
Romate.
Yeah, and also that represents the Anthropos and the Romate. It has a dual representation. Okay, so where we go next?
Dhumavati.
Yeah, Dhumavati, we call her the floater. So Dhumavati does not have
A lunar month.
zodiacal
Yeah.
correlation, nor does she have a consistent
Look,
monthly shift. Because in order to have a monthly shift, the moon has to appear in a constellation. She has no constellation, so she has no shift. But she comes in and she floats in, Our Lady of Smoke. And Bhairavi would be band 7, Dhumavati would be band 7. So what does it say about band 7? Well, let me find it. Okay, band 7, Our Lady of Smoke, the sweeper, crow woman, the Gitana. They also call her the weeping woman in Latina and Mexican folklore. She's said to walk the ditches in the acequias and weep.
It's Pachamama as well, isn't it?
No, it's not Pachamama.
Okay.
So she's assigned to treat emotional damage, grief, separation, loss within the party, targets false therapies of transformation. She gives grief to self-declared healers and other charlatans. You know, to give someone grief is to take them down. But she also takes you through your genuine grief. So in an instance where you've experienced loss and genuine grief, she will take you through that grief. And
she's a guide then?
She's a guide, and she will show you how to draw upon the healing power of that grief. You know, the grief of what's happened to the Anthropos is enormous. And I would say to everyone that is a really, really big medicine. So, you know, we talk a lot about World War II and the story of what we think really happened compared to what we're told. And if you take on that story, as in Europa, the Last Battle, you cannot take it on without feeling grief. How many people have told me that they sob when you
all
see
the way through?
You sob when you see what the real story was. And this grieving is a great, great process of strengthening for those of us in planetary tantra.
Well, I just wanted to add a personal note from the Dhumavati. She's really helped me with a disconnect I felt on personal levels. You know, often when I've felt disconnect from or maybe not a realization, and I'm always recognizing source, of course, recognizing my mother. But often we get mixed up, we get caught up in our own shit, and we have a sense of disconnect. And I really,
she comes through for you.
Dhumavati's come through and really helped
guide you back to source.
Yeah, guide me back to source, and you know, present what may appear unlucky as becomes something sacred. You know.
Well, that's really appropriate, because I would say in a great majority of cases, and if not everyone, almost everyone, you've got a grief story to look at with your parents. You do.
Yeah.
Everyone has. And you just face it, not pretend that your parents are something that they're not. Final note I would add, without going into a big digression, is that I strongly advise people to go to the GNE talks on a date with Dhumavati, and particularly pay attention to where I link Dhumavati in to the Diamond Sutra, because one of her roles, which is not the same as release from pretending. You have to make this distinction. Release from pretending, which we'll come to soon, which is Tantra Mother, but the shedding of your pretenses is different from the release from pretending.
Yes.
And Dhumavati is there. She sweeps them up. They're the parts of your personal self, the way you see yourself, that no longer serve you and that block you and disconnect you rather than connect you. And you can't get rid of them yourself. Nobody can. So she takes them away from you and she sweeps them out the door, across the threshold of your house.
So if you're hovering on the, if you need to talk yourself off the ledge of being black-pilled,
That's right.
command Dhumavati.
That's right. If you're in a black-pilled down spiral, command Dhumavati to bring you through it.
Good. Okay, number 8, Idris.
Okay, Idris.
Twins.
Hey.
Constellation of the Twins.
Constellation of the Twins. Now this actually is my band, although I do take the position in band 1 simply as a formal measure, you know. So Idris, who is a renaming of Bagalamukhi, which means the crane, or it also means the harness of the mistress. It's very, very mysterious, Mahavidya, Bagalamukhi. So I call her Idris now, which is a name taken from Welsh and Celtic lore.
Which means mother, doesn't it?
I don't know what Idris means.
Idris is Sophia.
Yes, but it's also the name of a very powerful witch in Welsh.
Yes.
In Welsh mythology.
Cader Idris.
Kader Idris. She's a mistress of fate. And so those in her band are assigned to arcane techniques, you can say that again, of doubling, dreaming together, astral warfare, remote viewing attacks, undertaken by couples. They target the false model of marriage, not the true model of coupling and partnership, and all conventional forms of pair bonding. I would add then that Idris must be the champion of restoration of the gender binary.
Yes.
And of true Tantra. It's not tantric sex, it's sexual Tantra. You have to bear that in mind. That is to say, Tantra is a continuity of action, continuity of styles and practices, and sexuality is just one band in it. So it's sexual Tantra, it's not tantric sex.
And attacks feminism.
Attacks feminism, absolutely, and champions self-determination and romantic individuality, etc. Okay?
You've got something to add about your personal experiences with Idris?
Yes, I have. Idris is my guardian, and I'm in touch with her on a daily basis, sometimes hourly, actually.
You live in a very natural,
Setting.
electricity-free setting, don't you? You're self-sufficient.
Yeah,
Ish.
Ish.
You live in a yurt in the middle of nowhere.
Up a mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Idris really is the mistress of opposites,
Indeed.
And navigating those, her guidelines within those can be a challenge,
Those who are under her guidance and her protection, like myself and yourself, tend to have very strong, sexual and romantic affinities. And I've often described the current. It's like a 5,000 volt current. If I put something in your hands as a wire, a cord, a filament with a 5,000 volt current on it, you're going to be jumping and thrashing around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like a catfish on a pole, to quote Elvis Presley. And this is the typical experience of people. And I used to call it the tango. I'd say when Idris comes to you, she throws you around like the male tango player throws around the female player.
Mm.
And these are ways that we characterize it. Would you agree?
I would, very much so. Yeah. I use when I was preparing for this legal case that I've just been through. I use the app to help to command her to give me the syntax.
She's all about syntax.
Give me the syntax, the prose, how to present myself eloquently in court. And it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
In a foreign language, in a foreign setting.
Yes, she works very powerfully through language. And
I love Idris shifts because she's really, really subtle,
mm-hmm.
but she just somehow instructs you in how to word things, like you've just said. It's very, very subtle.
It's very
tangible.
It is, even in the wording of your own minds and
Yes.
your own thoughts.
Yes.
She adjusts it and corrects it so that I shouldn't think about it in that way. This is the correct way to think about it.
I'd like to add just as well, going back to what you were saying, Ginny, about those thoughts. It's a very subterranean sensation that comes up. It's like a bubbling, but you have to really listen. It's not with the others, it can be thunderbolt stuff. It's
Some of them scream at you. Wait till we get to Kurukula, But Idris whispers. She's a whisperer, and she's very subtle and very gentle.
Okay, so how would somebody use Command Idris with the Shakti Cluster app? For what purpose?
Well, if you're in a relationship situation, if you're coupled with someone, to give the tantric dynamic, to give it clear definition, to call upon her, and you pass off into the cluster and also out equally. You can pass either way because you will be passing it to your partner.
So you do both. You do one where you pass in and one where you pass
That's
out.
right,
Yeah?
because
Okay.
the command that you're executing is about how to handle a coupling, how to handle the gender binary, how to heal your sexuality, if you want to use a corny New Age phrase, or how to up your sexuality, upgrade the quality of your sexual life.
Okay. Number 9.
and her constellation is the twins.
The twins.
Yeah, I said that at the beginning.
Right.
Number 9, Matangi.
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 We love it, Matangi.
Okay, so
Matangi is so special.
This is the constellation of the water bearer.
Yes, it used to be called Aquarius, the water bearer, the waterman, the Vasaman. There's a different, very difficult constellation to reckon with in the sky writing because it has really no definition. It stands beneath the constellation of Pegasus.
Do you know, that's interesting you say that because that's one constellation that I can, you taught us in the journey to have the mythographics. So you look at the constellation and you pick out the
signature.
The signature of the constellation, so you pick out the composite stars.
Right.
And that particular constellation is one that I can see mythographically really, really easily.
Really?
I can see the water gushing out of the urn.
Really?
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So this is a really key constellation. It was the last one that I was actually able to identify. I had trouble naming it. I didn't want to call it the water bearer anymore. I called it Enki for a while. But now it's Matangi or Manitou, the same.
Manitou, yeah.
Right. White buffalo woman in the Lakota myth.
Hello, Julie.
Hey, Julie. Erzuli Dantor in Haitian Voudon. There's a really strong Haitian connection with Matangi. She is a wild witch, and she is the guide to the wilderness quest and the planetary vision quest. So her role, you notice her position. Where is she positioned in the Shakti cluster?
Right at the bottom.
Right at the bottom, which is like the steering, the earthing and the steering of it.
Yeah.
And she works very closely with 13 Kurukula inside, and the two of them together sort of represent the steering of the Shakti cluster, the grounding and steering mechanism. So I note here, women warriors with male apprentices. Okay, so if you're a woman warrior and you have male apprentices, you call upon Matangi to support your activities. Those in her band are assigned to teaching rites of passage, puberty, marriage, mating. Okay.
So old women initiating younger men into sexual arts.
Whereas the instruction of Idris is more of equals, equal men and women equal.
Twins,
in the sexual dynamic of Maithuna,
Yeah.
which is the Sanskrit word for sexual intercourse and tantric intercourse. Whereas if you're talking about the initiations of young people, the role, menopause, the rites of passage come under the guidance of Matangi, and also trickster arts, exposing and demolishing specious paths of spirituality, especially New Age narcissism and escapism, targeting New Age gurus, all aspects of cultural Marxism, dedicated to teaching the planetary vision quest and proving its unique value and perspective.
So for those that don't know, just give a brief synopsis of the planetary vision quest, John.
Right, the planetary vision quest is simply the makeover and upscaling within the Sophianic narrative of an activity, a ritual activity that existed in all ancient indigenous cultures around the world. You have the walkabout of the Australian Aborigines, and the young man goes out into the bush and has an initiation experience in nature. You have the
lion shamans in Africa, the men that are picked to be the lion shamans, they have to go into the wilderness and get buried in the earth up to their heads, and then the lion comes along and sniffs them, and if they show any fear, the lion will bite their head off. So if they survive that quest, then they can become a lion shaman. Brilliant.
It's a rite of passage, isn't it?
Yeah, rite of passage.
Yeah, the White Lion saga belongs to the lore of Matangi. And so the traditional fission quest, and that is the term, devised by 19th century anthropologists such as Tyler.
Real anthropologists,
Yeah.
not Xenosh anthropologists.
That's right. Not the Xenosh anthropologists who led into into a deviance, consists of 3 factors. One factor is that the initiant, who may be a boy or a girl in the teen years, goes out into the wilderness alone and fasts with the purpose of meeting its power animal. So you can command Matangi to show you your power animal. Okay? And also with the purpose of seeing the role or mission that they will have when they return to the normal world. So it's a really beautiful concept that you go into the supernatural, which used to be called the sacred, contrasted to the profane. You go outside of the profane, normal community of the tonal, you get a sense of your mission and you bring that back into the tonal. So this is an absolutely archetypal paradigm for the human species. And now it's remade and upscaled in the planetary vision quest.
Within the narrative.
Within the narrative, right.
So someone could use Matangi in the Shakti Cluster app to show them, command her to present your power animal.
And also to guide in the performance of the Gaian Tantric vow. You know, people want to ask, well, how can I do the Gaian Tantric vow?
Okay,
Where can I do it?
So, like, the hot question, which I've been asking you to edit for 3 years now. People's biggest complaint is, I've got no one to do the vow with. So go and do it on your own. Do it on your own and let the animals and insects be your guide.
Okay, I've got an answer to that now that I could never give before.
Okay, good.
When I got the term of Gaia awakening, and this is an old story that you have to be an old romantic to even care about it anymore, but it was a fact that I received it in the company of a woman, and that the whole background of that story is quite significant, because when I was in contact with that woman, she said to me, well, I've been practicing for 14 years, this advanced Dzogchen.
Yeah.
And I said, what'd you get out of it? She said, nothing. And I said, well, would you like to try another game? And she said, well, yeah, what do you have in mind? And I said, well, you know, in the tradition of those tantrikas of Tibetan Buddhism, there is a consort, it's called consort yoga. And the notion in that tradition is that a man and a woman together would be able to achieve something. They would be able to find wisdom treasures. So she want to come and try it out. So that's actually what happened. So in that framework, I had in my mind that the coupling was essential to entering the path of planetary tantra. Now I can say, it's great if you can get that. If not, do it with a dog. Do it with your cat. Or use the Shakti cluster to do it now. And so make Vivi herself your witness if you can't get a human partner to do it with.
And you've got the plants, the birds, the bees,
You've
the
got
insects.
all of nature.
You've got all of nature witnessing your vow. And, you know, have it in mind to perform the vow with somebody in person later on. You can do the vow as many times as you want. We were talking about this yesterday. You and I did the vow together, first of all. And I said to you, have you done the vow again? And you said, yeah, I've done it about 3 times. And I said, I've done it 3 times as well. And I'm getting ready to do it again because I love doing it. It's such a stunning, beautiful thing to do. You know, renew your vow as much as you want to.
So there's the answer, finally, I can give to the many people who've written in who say, I can't find anyone to do it with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
And every time that you use the app and you log on, you are actually saying a mini vow, aren't you? I am Rome. I am recognising myself
Exactly.
That's right.
in love with the mother.
That's right. You make the vow of self-love. I would call that the vow of self-love. And then you seal that vow with the iron binding ritual. The VV needs the vow of self-love. As I've said before, and a pleasure to repeat it, traditionally people worship these divine powers and they make them offerings. There's one supreme offering that you can give to her, and that is your self-love. But it has to be real.
Okay,
You
so
can't be faking it.
this is something that's been on our radar for the last couple of weeks. Self-love is a huge problem. Huge problem.
Yeah.
So, is Matangi somebody that you would command to?
It's a good question. I would say that this is something to go to directly to Mother Source with. So we've considered how to work the Shakti clusters through these various points, a 1 and a 2-step, and then as you taught me, or as my former dance instructor taught me, it's not just the cha-cha, is it?
Cha-cha-cha.
It's cha-cha-cha.
Yeah.
Right? So working with the Shakti cluster is like the cha-cha-cha. But you can also just do the cha-cha, which is you can work between 16 and 18. And I would advise you to go to Mother Source and ask for, command her to show you and lead you to true self-love.